Again, ISDS2000 Business Statistics students, summer 2012. Welcome. I know you're probably a little bit exhausted, and we have a lot of things due this week, and our second test is upcoming. So I want to touch base with you and just go over some things and just offer you a word of encouragement. As I mentioned at the beginning of the semester, this 10 weeks goes by very quickly, and we ramp up. So we start out with kind of some review material, things that may be familiar to you, and then we build on top of that and kind of ramp it up as we go through the semester. So hang in there, stay strong, you can do it, just focus, focus, focus. Okay, I have confidence in you. I'm very impressed with this class, I really am. What I'd like to do is flip around to the schedule. Now you have a copy of this, and we are, as of this week, entering week 5. And how many weeks did I say was in the semester? 10. So that means you are at that important halfway point, and exam 2 is your important halfway point, right? So things you need to be worried about this week are chapters 5 and 6 in Connect. Doing those, of course, over and over and over again, because you are, as you do that, directly preparing for the test. So very important thing. Hopefully the extra credit assignments helped you a little bit, because a lot of what we do from this point forward is what I call the problem-solving process, and that is identifying the correct formula to use, listing your variables by name, capital N, little n, capital S, little s, you know, all those different variables that you have, and then putting the correct value into those variables. Now, in terms of how we're doing, and I'm very impressed with the, you did well on the learning project, and I hope those videos are helpful to you. Those are a good tool for online students. I see you out here practicing in Connect, and so that's good. Now, as I look at the assignments, I don't know if you can see this clearly, but this tall green bar says Chapter 5, Part 1. 18 students are registered, 12 have participated in this assignment, and the average is 91.67%, and that's fantastic. Now, as you know, of course, the minimum homework score must be what? 85 or above, right? If you make an 80%, that's a 0. If you make an 86, that's an 86, okay? Now, my purpose for this is because I know, especially in this group, that everyone in this class is at least a B student or better. And so you're not going to give up on yourself until you've made at least a mid-range B and hopefully higher. You do it over and over as you're doing. In fact, here's Chapter 5, Part 2, 12 students. The average is 83%, but as you know, that means some students did much better and some students maybe did much worse. But there's still time to improve those scores, because after you submit the work, you go to the solution. And if you're not doing that, I'm not talking about the check my work button. Check my work only says this answer is right or wrong. And if you sit there pounding in answer after answer, guessing, that's not a help. You look at the answer. After you submit it, you have the opportunity to go back and see the solution to the problem. You can see what you did. You can also see the correct answer. So again, if you are not doing that, that is a big problem. You need to do that even on problems that you answered correctly, because this is about the process. As you know, the numbers used in the word problems are randomly generated, meaning they will change, right? So you want to know the process. If you've got the process, hey, the numbers, they are just whatever those numbers happen to be. You just plug and chug to get the answer. So here we are in Chapter 6, and as you can see, the scores are a little bit lower. Only 5 students have started on Part 3 of Chapter 6. Only 7 on Part 2 of Chapter 6, and only 8 on Part 1. But you still have some days left in this week, and as you know, the key to statistics is doing a little bit of work every single day. Every single day. You work on the problems, you go back in there, you're getting faster and faster as you go, and that's going to be important also. And you're getting more comfortable with the problems, with assessing the kind of problem that it is, determining the formula that is necessary for this type of problem, and then listing the variables, putting the name, the values with those variables, and then it's just a matter of solving the problem. Okay, so you can do that, and this is good practice as you go through there, because that's really what statistics is about. We stand on the shoulders of others using formulas that others have developed, but we must know how to apply those formulas, and so that's really what Connect is all about, is teaching you how to do that or helping you practice those skills. So as you know, I'm going to flip back. We have assignments due this week. As I scroll down here, the assignments we just looked at, and you see the due dates here, right? June 28th, which is Thursday, so tomorrow night by 11:55 p.m., right? You're going to have all those assignments finished. So I said you have a couple days left in the week, but really you got to be on it by this point, right? So as you do all those assignments and you're practicing the problems, as you know, I select problems from the homework for the exam, and in this case, exam number 2. Now, this exam will become available to you Friday morning at 5 a.m. So you see that here, that it will become available Friday morning, June 29th at 5 a.m., and it will close and lock Sunday, July 1st at 11:55 p.m. You have exactly one attempt on this test, and as we've discussed before, that one attempt is one attempt. If lightning strikes, power failure, citywide blackout, whatever the situation is, you have one attempt. So you need to use that wisely. Now, I'm very proud of this class, and you all did very, very well on the last test. Well, actually, I'm sorry, the class average could have been a little higher, but many of you did wait until Sunday. Now, I understand you've got family dynamics and schedules and all kinds of things like that, but remember that you're cutting it close, and you want to make sure, that you take preparations to avoid catastrophe, and that might mean trying to make time Saturday or Friday to do that, so that Sunday night is the last resort, because if something bad happens Sunday night, in terms of you don't have access to the internet, you have some kind of computer problem, then that would really be bad on Sunday night, because it's difficult to address at 10 o'clock Sunday night. So don't do that. Don't wait until then. Okay, now speaking of test instructions, in the test you want the instructions. Here I am in pause. I'm in our class. I'm going to content. And look at everything you've done. You have finished, the course orientation. You looked at chapters 1, 2, 3, 4. You finished your first test. You're knocking out chapters 5 and chapters 6. And so you can see we really are at the midpoint here. But here's exam number 2. And if I expand that, you see exam 2 instructions. And I'm going to click that to open it. Be patient. It takes time for the screen to load. Once the screen loads, you can look at the instructions in this window. As I've mentioned to you before, I use this little floppy disk here. See that? Where my mouse is pointing. Save it to your desktop so that you've got it handy. You can print it out. You can look at it full screen, that kind of thing. Now, let me run through this quickly, expected to complete your exams independently. I've talked about that, but I want you to understand that on your assignments, it does become a little bit obvious when that is not happening. Okay, so let's understand that this is your first statistics class of many, and so you need to get this foundationary knowledge. We've talked about when it opens, when it closes. Remember that if you can have 100 minutes for the test, but if you start at 11 o'clock, you don't have 100 minutes, right? The test is going to close July 1st at 11:55 p.m. Everyone's clock is different. Don't cut it so close that you get knocked out. That's the real issue here. Don't wait until Sunday night. You have one attempt. If something goes wrong during that one attempt, you have used up your one attempt, and that would be your drop grade. If you've already used your drop grade, then this would be simply a So avoid that 0 and get your test done on time and make sure you're using a reliable internet connection. Once you begin the test, just like last time, you need to be prepared to complete the test in a single setting. You will not stop it and restart it because you do not have enough time to do that. You have exactly 100 minutes. Again, if you start the test late, you may not have that because you have either 100 minutes or Sunday night at 11:55, whichever comes first. The clock does not stop for any reason. If you close or save and exit, that clock is still running, and so you need to be aware of that, okay? Sit down, get organized, take the test. I've preached this before, and I'm going to preach it one more time. I would fully expect that as you do the homework and you're preparing, for the test, that you would organize your homework. You would organize your notes and your book and have little tabs in your book for, for formulas. You may even create a formula page, like write out all the formulas on a loose leaf sheet of paper so that it's very quick reference. You want to make it easy on yourself to find the information that you need. Have your calculator handy, have Excel handy, so that there's no stress. You're just going to sit down and work these problems like you have many times at this point, right, because you're doing the homework. So finish it in a single sitting. When you finish, click submit. That's how you tell the system that you are done, and you can avoid any errors. I have had students where long story, but they're not clicking submit, and then their grade doesn't come out completely right, and they get a little confused on that. So don't do that. This test is, again, 10 questions. Each question is 5 points each, okay, for a total of 50 points. The questions are chosen from the homework randomly. Everybody's test may be a little bit different because I put the questions into a pool, and the computer selects the questions from that pool. Now, also remember that the numbers in the test questions, if one person is asked to add 2 plus 2, then the next person may very well be asked to add 1 plus 7. So the numbers within the problem are randomly generated. The arrangement of the problems is random, and the problems are chosen from a pool, okay? Now, inside of that test, the check my work feature, as you know from the last test, is disabled, so it's not there. That is just a crutch for you while you do the homework, but if you're using that to guess, and this is what I mean, I have seen students who will say, the answer is 0.8, check my work. 0.81, check my work. 0.82, check my work. I don't know how that's going to help you on the test, because you can't just sit there and guess and guess and guess and guess and guess on the test trying to get the correct answer. And as I think about that, what I'm saying is, on the job, in your career, you don't have that ability. It's about having the confidence and the understanding of the process. Remember, problem solving is a process. Now, here's really important stuff. As you go in to begin the exam, of course, you're in the Connect system, and you scroll through the assignments and you look for Exam 2. I'm going to switch to my Connect assignments, but here it is, Exam 2. Now, you'll notice it's not available yet, but it will be. Oops, lost my place here. There we go. And when you click on the exam, just like last time, you're going to be required to enter a password. The password is success, because I wish each of you success. Success is in lowercase, right? And you see how it's spelled there. As soon as you click that, you go in and the time clock has started. Now, after you submit, you're going to know your numeric grade right away, but the detailed grading, as you know, I delay, and that, again, is just a little bit of a prevention from cheating, but really, there's no tricks here. You have all this from the homework, so check back, put a note on your calendar for the following Friday or the following Saturday. Go back in and look and see how you did, and, if there's something you just did not understand, get some clarification on that. Hopefully you did do that for exam number 1. Again, shouldn't be any surprises, shouldn't be any tricks, because it all comes from the homework. So I know you have a full week, and I know it's probably getting a little stressful, but I wish you every piece of good luck, and you can